I want to start with something that happened to me back when I was still living with my parents, finishing up my last year of high school. I know sleep paralysis gets explained away all the time. Brain wakes up before the body does. Hallucinations caused by leftover dream imagery bleeding into waking consciousness, whatever the science says. But knowing the explanation doesn't make what happened to me feel any less real. Even now, years later, sitting here trying to describe it to you, it was finals week, and I'd been running on maybe 4 hours of sleep a night for about 10 days straight. The kind of exhaustion where your eyes burn every time you blink, and the world starts to feel slightly unreal around the edges. I remember collapsing into bed around 1 a.m., still half dressed, not even bothering to pull the blanket all the way up, and just sinking into that heavy, drugged kind of sleep you get when your body finally gives up fighting exhaustion and takes what it's owed. I don't know how much time passed before I became aware that I was awake but couldn't move. My eyes were open. I could see my room clearly, the outline of my dresser against the wall, the sliver of hallway light bleeding under my door, the ceiling fan turning slow and silent above me. But my limbs felt like they'd been bolted to the mattress. I told myself, okay, this is that thing. This is sleep paralysis. I've read about this. It'll pass in a minute. And it probably would have passed quietly, the way it usually does, except for the sound, a slow, wet, dragging sound, coming from the direction of my closet, low to the ground, like something heavy being pulled across carpet an inch at a time. I couldn't turn my head to look. All I could do was stare straight ahead at the ceiling and listen to it get closer and closer, until it wasn't a sound anymore. It was a presence, right at the edge of my vision. Then, I felt the mattress dip, right behind my knees, like someone had just sat down carefully on the edge of my bed, easing their weight down so as not to wake me. I could feel the give of the mattress springs. I could feel breathing on the back of my neck, slow and deliberate, completely out of sync with my own racing heartbeat, which by that point was slamming so hard I could hear it in my ears. I tried to scream and nothing came out except this thin, pathetic whine, barely audible even to me. I remember thinking, with a strange kind of detached clarity, that whatever was sitting there wasn't in a hurry. It had all the time in the world. And then, just as suddenly as it started, the pressure lifted and I could move again. I shot upright and spun around so fast I nearly threw my back out. Nothing there, mattress flat and undisturbed. Closet door shut, exactly where I'd left it before bed. I sat there panting in the dark for a long time before I convinced myself it was just a hallucination. Classic sleep paralysis stuff, and mostly, in daylight, I do believe that. Except, 3 days later my mom asked me, completely out of nowhere, over breakfast, why I'd been sitting on the edge of my bed, talking to myself at 2 in the morning. I laughed it off. Told her I didn't remember that, probably just sleepwalking or something. But she got this odd look on her face and said she'd gotten up for water that night, walked past my room, and saw my door cracked open a few inches. She said she saw me sitting upright in bed, facing toward the closet, and that my lips were moving like I was having a conversation with someone. She said she didn't think much of it at the time, figured I was just talking in my sleep, and went back to bed without a second thought. I never told her what I actually remembered. I still haven't, and I still don't remember getting up at all. The second story isn't mine. It happened to a friend of mine, and he only told me about it because we were a few drinks in one night, and the conversation drifted, the way it does, into weird sleep stuff, the stuff people don't usually bring up sober. He'd just moved into his first apartment after college, one of those cheap studio units above a laundromat downtown, the kind of place where you can hear the dryers running through the floor at all hours. He said the first 2 weeks they were completely fine, nothing unusual, just the normal adjustment of living alone for the first time. Then he started getting this recurring paralysis episode, always around 3 a.m., always following the exact same pattern, night after night, like something had found a rhythm and settled into it. He'd wake up unable to move, and the first thing he'd notice, every single time, was that the temperature in the room had dropped hard, like someone had cracked a window open in the dead of winter. Then he'd hear footsteps, not creeping, not sneaking around like you'd expect, just normal, confident walking, coming from his kitchenette on the other side of the studio, getting louder and closer with each step, unhurried, like whatever it was knew exactly where it was going. He said the worst part wasn't even the sound of it approaching. It was that every single time, right as the footsteps reached the foot of his bed and stopped, he'd feel a hand close, around his ankle. Not grab, not yank, just close. Slow, deliberate pressure, like something testing whether he was really there, whether he was real, whether he was ready. He said the grip would tighten just slightly more each night over the course of about a week, a fraction more pressure each time, until it got to the point where he genuinely started dreading sleep, lying there staring at the ceiling until exhaustion forced his eyes shut. One night, he finally managed to break the paralysis a few seconds early, right as the footsteps were starting. He kicked out on pure instinct, this full-body flinch of a movement, and he swears, and I believe him because he's genuinely not the type to exaggerate anything, that his foot connected with something solid for just a split second before it simply wasn't there anymore. No sound of it falling, no scrambling away, nothing. Just solid, then gone. He moved out 3 weeks after that, made up some excuse to his landlord about a job relocation. But right before he left, he mentioned the layout of the apartment in passing, just small talk while handing back the keys. And the landlord went quiet for a second and told him the previous tenant had died in that unit. Not in the bed, like you might expect, by the front door, found reaching for it. The last story is mine again, and it's the one that still gets to me the most, because it wasn't about something touching me or sitting near me or dragging itself across my floor. It was about watching my own room stop being my room. I was maybe 22 by then, living alone for the first time myself, and I'd fallen asleep on the couch with the TV still on, volume turned low, the way I did most nights back then, because the silence of an empty apartment made me uneasy in a way I didn't like to admit. I woke up paralyzed, which by that point wasn't new to me anymore, so I tried to stay calm and just ride it out the way I'd learned to over the years. But something felt different this time, wrong in a way I couldn't immediately place. The TV was still glowing somewhere in my peripheral vision, but the light coming off it was wrong, too blue, too still, like a paused frame instead of moving footage, like time itself had gotten stuck on one image. And then, slowly, unmistakably, the far wall of my living room began to change. It didn't crumble or shimmer or do anything you'd expect from a special effect. It simply stopped being a wall. It became this deep, endless black, a void that looked like someone had cut a hole clean through my apartment into absolutely nothing. No depth, no texture, just an absence where a solid thing should have been. And standing at the edge of that black, right where the wall used to be, was a shape. Tall, too tall for the ceiling height of my apartment, with proportions that didn't sit right in my mind, like a person who'd been stretched a few extra inches in all the wrong places, joints slightly too high, arms slightly too long. It didn't move. It didn't need to. I understood, with the kind of total dreamlike certainty that doesn't need explaining, that it was waiting for me to look away first, that whatever happened next depended entirely on whether I held that stare or broke it. I don't know how long I stayed locked there, eyes burning, refusing to blink. It felt like an hour crawling by. It was probably only seconds. Eventually, my body let go all at once, the paralysis breaking like a rubber band snapping, and I gasped and rolled off the couch onto the floor, scrambling backward until my back hit the coffee table. When I finally looked up again, it was just a wall, beige paint, same as always, a picture frame slightly crooked on its hook. The TV still playing some late-night rerun, laugh track and all, completely ordinary. Except the picture frame hadn't been crooked when I fell asleep. I remember straightening it myself earlier that evening. And I've never quite been able to shake the feeling that whatever I saw standing at the edge of that darkness didn't actually leave when the wall came back. I think it just got better at hiding inside it.